Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game Everton versus Spurs. The score, Everton 0, Spurs 0 in a frantic but ultimately goalless game. I'm Sam Spurs for life and I'm joined in the house by Darius 352K and Sid Spurs. But before we start, please, thank you for watching. Thank you all for your support. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Look into all the things on our community tabs all across our page. If you want to become a member, there's memberships available. And if you want to get your super chats in, if you want to get your message read out on screen, use the super chats in there as well. Right, let's get into this. Conte's first game, gentlemen. Conte's first league game. Same team that started. I'll come to you, Darius. What's your thoughts on the game?
I thought it was pretty bad, but the reasons why it was bad wasn't Conte, and maybe some people are maybe thinking, "Oh, are you sort of protecting the manager because you don't really want to admit sort of certain things?" But I really think that everything up to the final third was pretty good, to be fair. I think the interplay was actually decent. I noticed us getting out of situations, sort of playing out the back. Because Conte really wants to play out the back. He doesn't really want to play long from the keeper. Us sort of getting out of tight situations, we seemed to do that quite well. It was just the final balls from pretty much everyone was awful. I mean, again, I don't want to rag on individuals, but I mean, Harry Kane yet again was probably one of the worst players for us. So he just wasn't good. His final third balls were good. We had no shots on target again. But this time, I don't think it's down to the system. I do think it was down to the individuals. I know we had a block shot from Lucas in the first half as well. But to be honest with you, it just highlights and signals to me that you can have whoever you want come into this team. Certain things need changing, and the sooner the better. And I think that as much as obviously dropping points is bad, and Arsenal going ahead of us further is not good, and us obviously needing to keep ahead or keep in the sort of same position, the same point rally and goal differences as our rivals is important. But you know what? These results and sort of these performances will highlight to me and to Antonio Conte and to Paratici and hopefully to Daniel Levy that you can't wait until the summer. You have to get a few players in January, because if you don't, I don't think this manager is. And don't get me wrong, this manager is top 5, top 3. Some may even say he's the best manager in the world. But I don't even think he's got the capabilities of getting what we want out of this team, because, boy, some players just aren't good enough, and we just need to bring in some more who actually can fit his system a bit better. But overall, yeah, it wasn't great, but I don't blame the manager. It really is on the players now, and I'm glad it's there for everyone to see now.
Listen, I wrote down after 40 minutes, this is a bit of a frantic, fast-paced, Everton pressing all over the place. Both teams were relying on counter-attacks to get into good opportunities. I would say you were right in what you were saying. In that part when we were building up from the back, that little bit of a build-up play at the back, there was some 1 and 2 touch passes to get out of certain tight situations. But then it seemed to break down at that final element. There was almost they got out of the traps, and then that final ball then to either create someone into a space or to get someone running in behind, it just wasn't there. There was too many times where I saw the ball get just an easy ball was playing 5 yards too far in front or 5 yards too far behind somebody. You know, Reguilon, again, great going forward down there, but then that final cross into the box, wasn't quite there. Emerson, again, gets down the right-hand side. I thought he had a good game as well. But again, that final ball wasn't quite there. Mora did all what he normally does, picks the ball up, runs at people, commits them. But again, you just need that little bit of guile, that little bit of a run across, someone to do something. And we just couldn't get that final ball, which is going to show on the stats as well in terms of our shots, as you mentioned earlier already. I'll come to you, Sid. What was your thoughts on the game itself?
Crap performance, basically. I know he's only 2 games in, but you wouldn't have known that Conte was on the touchline because, like Darius said, it's going to take him time. It's only 2 games in since he's 1 Prem game, 1 Cup game. It'll take Conte time to get his team, his plans, his tactics, everything in there. But boy, one thing that he is learning is how shit some of these players are. And I honestly hope he shows them in training where the goal is and how to shoot. Because on a Saturday morning, grassroots football, I'm sure it's 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids are being taught how to have a shot on goal. Whereas we just do not seem to have a shot on goal. And the more we're watching Skip and Højbjerg now, I'm agreeing with Darius now, where I don't think them two are working together, because that midfield, there's nothing going forward. I totally agree with what you said, Sam. Mora runs up and down, huffs and puffs, but he's not blowing the door away. Son does what he can, but again, there's never anyone supporting him. And as for Harry Kane, honest to God, I wish we could rewind back to the summer and somehow doctor that bid that was made by Man City, because he's just getting shocking. He's getting worse. Today, some of his passing.
His passing is awful.
Yeah, we was discussing this just before we went live.
I think there was one in particular, wasn't there, Sid? I remember the one where it was on the right wing, and it was a simple open the body pass into Son, and it went straight into the keeper's hands, and that was when I was like, this isn't good. This isn't good at all.
Exactly. And I think in the second half, when I think he had the opportunity to play Son or Lo Celso through, and he didn't even beat the defender. He went straight to the defender. So I don't know. I was saying to Sam that, is he going to drop him? Is he going to bench him? What's he going to do? Because you need to take him off. Son keeps getting taken off.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna offer a little bit of maybe some information regarding why Harry Kane might not be up the races. And this I've heard a couple of discussions. If you think about the players that played for England a lot for England in the summertime in the Euros, you've got the likes of Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Sterling, Harry Kane. Those players were pretty pivotal to England's Euro getting to the final. All four of those players haven't had the best starts of the season. Sterling definitely hasn't. Maguire hasn't. Luke Shaw definitely hasn't. Harry Kane hasn't. Again, we might look at the bit of a jet lag or the tide.
But what about Declan Rice, who's been playing Europa League?
Again, I'm going to
Calvin Phillips.
There's a few players still that I agree that have probably still played at a good level, but again, you're looking at those mainstay players, and I'm looking at Harry Kane. I'm looking at, and if we go and said look at Maguire and look at Luke Shaw as well, and Sterling, they were all the main pivot. I know Declan Rice played a lot, and so did Calvin Phillips, but again, maybe slightly different in terms of what they gave in terms of effort levels. Now, I'm not saying that's the whole excuse. Don't get me wrong, but there might be something to do with that, coupled with the fact that Harry Kane didn't get his move in the summer, coupled with the fact that, again, he was playing under a manager he probably didn't want to play under in terms of Nuno. Now he's got a manager. There's no excuse. And this is what I'm saying. Once you get Harry Kane coming out and saying this is a great signing for Spurs, blah, 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 I want to see at least some simple things being done well. Do you know, I don't expect him to beat 2 and 3 players and not one in the top corner. But when you don't get your 10, 15-yard passes, which we know Harry Kane can do for fun, that shows me that his level of performances is really not good. And he could have been dropped for a number of games under Nuno. And now we're seeing that. I've not seen an improvement in him, even in, I know he's only been there a week, but I've not seen an improvement. I've seen an improvement in Emerson. I've seen an improvement in Reguilon, even though his final third is not quite great. I've seen an improvement in the defensive side of things as well. You know, we look at Romero, we look at Dyer, even Davis.
Yeah, let's admit it. Let's
admit that even Ben Davis was better than he had been. Again, he's probably playing in a position where it's going to be more comfortable for him. But again, going forward as a left-sided centre back, Ben Davis, bloody hell, where's he going? And there was a few of those today. I'm not sure, but Darius, I'm going to come back to you again. Who? And this is one of the questions that was posed again at a couple of shows that we've done. Who do you think is not or may not get the performance out of them that we expected maybe when Conte came in? Is there anybody that you can see already thinking, I'm not quite sure if he's gonna thrive under Conte? Because a lot of people are saying that Højbjerg,
I was thinking well. A
lot of people are saying that,
he hasn't really played well. If we're putting him to the standards of last season, because last season I couldn't say a bad thing about Højbjerg. I do believe that he was incredibly important to us actually being some sort of happy last season, because without him in that midfield, I genuinely believe we would have been 14th, 15th place. But this season it's been tough, and I do think he hasn't been great. I don't know why that is, because I do believe that Højbjerg is in the mold of a Conte player. I think that the reason why I believe that Højbjerg might not be sort of Conte's priority, and he might look to sort of find a position or find a better player in that position, is because I think it's more of his distribution. Because normally Conte will play one in a base and he'll have 2 centre mids sort of bombing up and down instead of having a double pivot. So if he was to do that, you'd want to play with a bit more of a ball, like distribution quality. So long balls, threaded balls, and Højbjerg's got that, but I do think his long balls can have a bit of work. So yeah, I don't know. If I'm not going to say Højbjerg, I really don't know, because I think Kane, to me, should thrive under Conte. But is it just Kane himself, sort of his situation, not wanting to be at Tottenham, that's the reason why? Or is it because he's not going to play well under Antonio Conte? I saw a comment saying his legs have gone by Nuno, our friend. But I mean, that's been, I've kind of seen that for the past year or two anyway. And that's probably down to him playing too many games and whatnot. But I really don't think Conte is going to make players worse necessarily. I think he's going to find the players that he wants to play, and the ones that aren't playing, I hope Ndombele can improve his fitness, because I really do believe that he does answer a lot of questions for Conte in terms of that creativity and the quality of passing. Because like we said, we mentioned everybody's quality of passing today was just not good enough. And when you're playing in a Conte system and you're given a chance, the ball comes to your feet and you have to play off the first or second touch, and that's what Ndombele thrives at. He can take a touch and find a perfect pass. He doesn't even need a touch sometimes to find a perfect pass. So that is down to fitness, and hopefully he can, get through that. And it's not another case of him and Mourinho and him and Nuno and him not playing. But yeah, I really don't think that many players are going to look worse. It really isn't that case. I just think that some just aren't good enough anymore, and you'll see that now with other players improving and getting better. That just certain players just aren't good enough, and the quicker that we can bring in replacements and alternatives, the better, in my opinion.
You know what? But I guess when we say players are not good enough, we've said that about the likes of Dyer, we've said that about the likes of Ben Davies, we've said that about the likes of Sanchez. And all three of those players, to be fair, but I'm going to be fair here, have looked okay, even though some of them were made only.
This is what I mean, Sam. You're being fair in saying that, and I'm completely agreeing with you. Those three players, where I'd probably say, you know what, we could probably get rid of them and I wouldn't care. They have improved, but that to me still doesn't suggest that they're good enough, if you know what I mean. Like, they have improved. They have improved. And you can say that they have improved. You can say that they look better under a much better manager, but that still doesn't mean that they're good enough, in my opinion. And I do think that... Go on. Does that
mean then the likes of Harry Kane, who we always know is a stellar world-class player in terms of a goal scorer, we look at someone like, again, Højbjerg, who we were lauding last season to be this player. Now, I think for Højbjerg, I'm going to say this, when he played under that 4-3-3 system, that system didn't suit them two players. Again, now, when it went back to a 4-2-3-1, again, when you've got a double pivot as a base and you've got players in front, I think both those two defensive players will look better because they don't have as much to do. In the system, when you've got a 3-4-3, you have to have two midfielders of equal quality in terms of being able to distribute the ball, being able to tackle, being able to run forwards and backwards, recover, all the rest of it. Because otherwise, you're relying on one player in the middle to do all that. And if you're playing against what you played against today, which is pretty much a 4-2-3-1, it said it was a 4-2-3-1. They had Delph right in behind, and then they had lots of players in the midfield kind of bobbing around. It meant that we're under a lot of pressure. So is it that Højbjerg needs to play in a system that maybe he can get the better of him, where he's a bit more protected, or does he need to just improve in general in terms of his ability to go forward, backwards, all the rest? Because it just wasn't as good.
You answered it perfectly. Like I said, he's not obviously the perfect player, but Jude Bellingham is the ideal player that you centre mid that you play in that 3-4-3, because he can do everything and he will do everything. And Højbjerg can do a lot, but going forward, I do think he's slightly restricted, and maybe he is tired. He played every game pretty much last season, then played every game for Denmark as well. And they went far as well. And there was a lot of emotion in that for that Danish team. So maybe he is just exhausted. And that just goes on to the last point I want to make before I let Sid say something, is the players that aren't playing well, who we expect to play well, your Kanes, your not even a Ndombele, sorry, your Højbjergs and stuff like that, maybe they're a bit too comfortable. Maybe that, because if Kane gets dropped, who are we going to play? Scarlett. If Højbjerg gets dropped, who are we going to play? Winks. When we bring in, and I'm saying when, because I do believe that these players and better players in these positions will come in. If we bring in a striker of a similar quality to Kane, who can score goals, like a Dusan Vlahovic, like an Alexander Isak, somebody who we know is of quality, if Kane feels that pressure of saying, you know what, if you don't perform, you can get dropped for this guy, maybe you might see him perform a bit better. Because at the end of the day, Højbjerg, for me, he's not really got much competition. I don't really see any other player that we can play in his position. So yeah, for me, I think when you see players of the similar quality coming in their positions, they might improve their performances and their quality as well.
And I'm going to come to Sid, and I'm going to come to Sid with this comment. So thank you, Amondi Juma, for watching from the Man United agenda. Didn't see the game, just seen the formation. Are you happy with the shape and performance? Sid, I'll let you have that one.
Performance, I'm not happy with the performance of certain players. And I think Darius has already picked up on a couple of the players mentioned. In terms of formation, I think for formations, there's nothing wrong with that formation. I think 3 at the back, 2 wing backs. My only niggle is the 2 full backs need to do more. Because at Conte at Milan and even at Chelsea, his fullbacks were bobbing up and down, and the main thing with their fullbacks was some of them were scoring, and also the end product was a lot better.
Do you think that's down to fitness, Sid? Do you think they're still not fit enough to play that? Because they're probably that's the 2 formations that's probably going to do the most running for Conte in that team. So do you think it's just down to fitness, or do you think it's the individuals?
I think it's fitness and individuals, because Reguilon didn't play that much in the summer, right? So he should be fit. Emerson as well. I think it's what it is with them is fitness-wise, I think they're all right. I think it's the end products. I think the deliveries, I don't know if they work on it or not, but I'm well frustrated with the end products, because it's either they can't get the cross in, the cross is either not beating the first player, or it's just like a roll into the box. They're not like giving the strikers or Son or anybody running in the opportunity to attack the ball. And then when they're that far forward, I think there's a couple of times today, they were left, they're not coming back enough. So on that one, fitness might be a thing. But then again, you've got the other players who should be covering. Other fitnesses, I think Højbjerg and Skip, I think one of them is going to have to give way. Or if you're going to play them two, like what Sam was saying, you need a third person to play that's going to do a lot of the creativity. I think somebody's put on here on the group, Højbjerg and Skip are doing their job, and that's only what they can do, which is correct. Because none of them two are going to run with the ball and cause havoc in the other team's penalty area. They're there to break up play, get the ball, and then pass it, whether it's sideways or 1 step forward or 2 steps backwards. That's all them two are going to do. Now,
not necessarily. I was going to say not necessarily create havoc, but I certainly saw Skip carry the ball a couple of times today. But that's when it got late on. The game was a bit more stretched, so he's got that in him, and he's young. He's 20. Højbjerg did it a couple of times as well. But again, we might be looking a bit too much into some of the reasons, as we mentioned for the England players, as Darius has already mentioned. I think that can be attributed to Højbjerg as well. So maybe we have to give a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt to him, because he was very much a player that's played every single minute of every single game, blah, blah, blah.
Straight into next season.
And let's not forget, this is the same team that played on Thursday. I know it's a bit, you can use that as a little bit of an excuse, but that was a challenging game that we had on Thursday.
Yeah, no, so 100%. I forgot about that.
You take that all into consideration. You take the fact that it's an away game. You take the fact that Everton, they haven't won in 4 games. They had to really come out and show some sort of impetus, which they did. They were pressing all over the pitch. I thought second half they wouldn't be as intense. They did lack a little bit, but then they brought it back again. So they were the ones that were looking threatening in terms of, looking to score. So there's a lot of things that weren't quite there for Conte. But I think what's good is he's seen right.
And can you see as well, Sam? Can you see? Because I can see quite clearly the progression, and I can see there's a clear difference in the way we play. And I don't know if that's just me sort of being wishful, but I can definitely see that Conte's getting something out of these players after a few days, and it is just about time and obviously players. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that as well.
I definitely can. As I said, there was a comment here from Mike Hotspur saying that you might need to give players a little bit more time, 6, maybe 5, 6, 7 games before you can know if they've improved or not. But there's certain little things. It's the little subtle things. Do you know, when I see people like Ben Davies, who was, I've seen him play at left-sided centre-back position before, but I've never seen him so adventurous. Yeah, so that's obviously something he's been told to do. Right, if you get that ball, you get an opportunity, you can go and you can support the left-sided player.
Which is what Romero did as well.
100%. And he did that in the Vitesse game and in this game. So when I say little subtle improvements, if you've done it twice, you've been coached and someone's told you to do that, in my opinion. You wouldn't just take it, because he's always been a really defensive player. So in terms of little things like that, yeah, I can see where we're going. what I hope that's going to be improved, which is going to be a major improvement for us, is our ability in the final third, because the Son didn't have a great game today, but the Everton fans were on his case. That's because of 2 years ago when he had that unfortunate break against Gomez. And you know what Son's like? He's a happy-go-lucky type player. If crowds on him, he just feels like he sinks into his shell just a little bit. I'm not quite sure if I'm trying to word this right. I'm not quite sure if the balance is quite right at this moment in this 3-4-3. I would like to see more of a 3-5-2 with a one behind 100%. And have Kane and Son as an attacking through the middle. Because Son, again, I think he was going to be the man through the middle. So I just want to see if he can work as a 2 with Kane and see what we give.
Problem with that. Sorry. I said the problem with that one, Sam, right, is if you're going to do 2 up top, you know for a fact that Kane ain't going to be in that position all the time. You know for a fact Kane's going to drop back, right? So then you're going to end up with 2 number 10s because Kane's going to just keep dropping back. So if you're going to do that, then the only option you've got is, and I'm just throwing it out there, is you play Scarlett and Son together as a strike force where you know Scarlett's going to stay up top. What
I will say then is this is where Conte, being the manager that he is, he will get Kane to stay. He's the one person that I would honestly, on hand on heart, say, if he tells you to do that, you're going to do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Also, Sid, sorry to interrupt you there, Sam. Also, Sid, you might actually enjoy what I'm about to say, but if Kane wants to do that, then there's a certain player who was very, 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 very famous for Tottenham Hotspur at running past the striker.
That's right.
And if he can actually change his game again and go back to that time, which I personally don't think he can. I personally don't think he can do it. But if he could do that, there is a space for him in the team. If he could do that.
Who's that then?
I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Apparently, he likes to colour in dreadlocks and stick them on his head. That player might be able to do that, but I just don't know. I just don't know if he's gonna be able to do that. But like you said, which one is it? Did you know his name?
He's better than Ozil. He only costs 5 mil. That's the one.
But in all honesty,
he's going to need a chance.
He can do that role, can't he?
Are going to need a chance at some point. Conte is going to have to give these players a chance to see if they can perform in a system that works for him. I think his moment. He's had to just rely on players from what he's seen. He's probably just saying, "I'm going to pick the best 11. I'm going to put them into this formation." And that's it. I'm going to see what they do.
Solely there because he's left-footed. Like I cannot, like you said, Sam. You can see that when we go in that market, he probably will look for a left-footed centre back because there's a certain way he wants to build up the play, which is why I was surprised that Doherty came on in left wing back because he couldn't pass with his left foot. So it's things that he wants, and it will come with time. But I can't get onto Conte for this performance, in my opinion, personally. It's players for me.
Say what you was just saying there a minute ago. Sorry, Sam.
I'm just going to put the stats up.
Darius.
Gone.
Just before the game started, I was listening to the radio, and exactly what you said is what they were saying. They said Tottenham are not scoring. Tottenham struggling up top. They said they've got Dele sat there, right? They said if they can get him back to what he was and running behind Harry Kane, he said that could be an answer for them to start scoring goals. Yeah, it could work. But
it could work.
Exactly.
And looking at the stats, so again, you can't read obviously everything into the stats. You need to watch the game as well. But if you were to look at this in isolation, it kind of says we had control, not massive control. You know, it was probably at times they were a bit dominant, and at times we were a bit dominant. But it's going to the shots again. Okay. It looked like today it was very much a counter-attack game. It almost felt too open. It felt too mad. And I don't think Conte likes that type of approach. He wants more control, as we all know with his build-up play from the back. He wants to build things up, get players into the right positions, right areas of the pitch. He's got this lateral movement as well. So when he has the wing backs, if you look, there's a graphic that was really done well. You've got one side is really high, the other side's really high as well. But then if it breaks down, there's areas in the pitch where they can win the ball back. And I saw some of that today. Not great deal, but I saw enough to say, okay, they're going to start to work on certain things. But the shots on target, 0. Talk to me about that, Darius. This has been a concern for us for the whole season. We've still got a hangover from it. Is this just down to the fact of Nuno's influence previously and we haven't had an opportunity, Conte hasn't had an opportunity to maybe work in the final third as yet?
If you could hear that, that's my friend who's a West Ham fan. I believe they've probably just scored against Liverpool. But let me carry on. I'm gonna move.
That was quality. That was.
I'm gonna move.
You've gone off. All right, then I'm going to come to you then, see, because Darius it looks like he's obviously gone off somewhere to try and do something, maybe quieten down that West Ham fan who was in the background. You're on as well, so you need to come off mute as well. Stats wise, shots on target. What's there's a number of games this season where we've seen 0 shots, and it's not good. So, what's your thoughts?
This is what I was saying to you just before we went on air, didn't I? That are we now going to blame Conte for not having the shots on goal? No, we can't blame Conte because they set out a team. They've got strikers. They've got whoever, right? Midfield, whatever. Why are we not having any shots on target? It's to be fair, we're not even getting anywhere near them areas to have an actual shot. So I think you summed it up before where you said the final third is shocking, the stats in terms of going forward. So we're not going to get that. And we're not even having long-range shots. And I think Conte's probably had, 3 sessions with them now in training. And I'm sure he's looked at the stats and he's looked at the shots on target because every game, no matter which channel you watch it on, they show you the stats and it's always shots on target, Tottenham 0-0-0. So he will now look into that and he's now going to... And in the next couple of games, I'm expecting, and I know and I should know, and I hope that shot on targets goes up because Conte is not going to allow this Spurs team not to have 1 shot on target because to score a goal, you need to have a shot on target, right? If we're not going to have any shots on goal, then we're not going to score goals. Corners, like you said before, we might as well not bother with corners because we cannot take corners.
Don't start me on that.
Honestly, I don't know if you guys can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yes, yeah, we're good.
Sid, can you explain to me what...
I don't know. I know exactly what you're going to say. He P-rolled it to the front post.
He did it against Vitesse as well.
Yeah. And you're P-rolling
92nd minute. 92nd minute. When all you want is a ball in the box, he does that.
And you're P-rolling it. Come on. It's
horrible.
Shocking.
It's horrible,
and Everton have struggled. Probably one of the worst teams at set pieces from corners this season.
Horrible,
and they've struggled to find a way. They've did zonal. So they do the mix of a bit of a zonal, bit of man marking. But we never really looked like we threatened from corners.
We only had 2 or 3 as well. And the thing is, as well, I also find it annoying because obviously Son was off the pitch. So I'm not as mad about that particular one, but Son should be on corners for me and free kicks. That's another thing. Son should be on corners and free kicks. We've got a guy who scored 4 goals from corners last season in Romero. He got 4 goals from corners. I think he scored 3 headers last season. So we're not even that's a whole whole opportunity that we're squandering because of somebody who can't even lift the ball in past the box. I don't think it's acceptable in my opinion.
It's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And
for quality, for professional footballers, not even professional footballers, for just any sort of level of football where it's a set. There's no pressure. Remember, there's no pressure, and you can use your strongest foot. It's not like someone forcing you to take it with your right foot. He's taken it, and that's what he does, and he's done it twice in recent times. Let's just go to the lineup. I'm going to say, Sid, who was your man of the match today? Mine was Skip, but I'll let you guys tell me who you thought was the man of the match today for Spurs.
Do you know what? Honestly, if I could not give a man of the match, then I would have given a man of the match because I don't think anybody was exceptional. Skip, out of the whole 11, I think Skip was probably the better player, but I'm not going to give anyone a man of the match performances because, in my opinion, not one of them had an exceptional game. Skip did what he had to do, and that was his role, and he did it better than Højbjerg did. And that's about it. If you ask me for a worst man of the match, then your number 10 gets it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, Darius, you take it away. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Sid, I'll back Sid 100% in that, and I'm not trying to. Again, I'm not ragging on Harry Kane, but at the same time, that I really do believe he's slightly protected by this fan base, and guess it's deserved. I guess he's got a lot of credit in the bank, but we do have to call him out. I saw somebody said he was. Someone on Twitter said he was poor today, but let's be honest, he's been poor all season. And we put it down to obviously Euros and Nuno and not getting your move. But now you've got, in my opinion, a top 3 manager in the world in. There's no excuse for a bad performance like today. But regardless of that, I would say Emerson again for me he impressed me again today. Can't really remember what he's done wrong this game. The whole time he's been here, to be honest, he works hard. He sprints up and down that pitch all the time. I can't lie to you. He's Skip again for me. Like I said, consistency is a very, very difficult thing to come across in football. And Skip's very, very consistent. So he was good. I don't think he was great today at all. I actually wouldn't give him man of the match. I would actually give Emerson man of the match. And also Ben Davies had a good game as well. I mean, at one point he was playing out from the back well. Then he was having long shots from just outside the box. Then at one point I remember him tackling Townsend to stop a counter from Everton as well. So I'm not going to front. I mean, I'm not saying I want Davies to be our starting centre back, but he wasn't bad at all. And another one is Lloris. I think he's going underappreciated this season as well. So yeah, I'd probably give it to Emerson, but Romero again as well. I just think Romero. I don't care that Romero gets yellow cards because that guy, his intercepting skills, it's actually kind of scary how good he is at intercepting the ball. It is quite scary. He does make silly mistakes in terms of maybe getting yellow cards and getting involved in things he doesn't need to, but without Romero, we would be conceding a lot of goals. So I credit the defense. The defense looked very good today. I can't lie to you. They had 12 shots, but I was confident they weren't going to score. And if we can actually just work on, if all it is that we have to work on is a final ball, then that's better than sort of, actually being able to create attacks. Because with Nuno, we weren't actually creating attacks. But with Conte, we are creating attacks. It's just the players aren't finishing.
What did you think of the substitutions? Because Doherty was brought on for Reguilon in the 70-something minute to play on the left-hand side. And then about 82 minutes, I think, then Tanguy and Lo Celso both came on.
Lo Celso came on earlier. He came on at the same time as Doherty.
Yep, sorry about that. What did you think of them substitutions, Sid? And then I'll come back to Darius and give me your thoughts on the subs. What did you think of them subs that he made?
I think Reguilon one was probably, he realised that Reguilon's now was quite sloppy, and I think a lot of people have said that on the group as well. And he'd already got his yellow card in the first half, so I thought he was going to get a second yellow at some point in that second half because he was that sloppy. So I think Conte's probably thought, you know what, let me just take him off and bring Doherty on, and just to give a little bit of respite. The other two, I think Mora probably, he didn't have a decent game, so bringing on Lo Celso and Ndombele, I think he just tried to get a little bit of creativity going on there with Son. But if I was Conte, I would have taken Kane off and left Son on.
I would have too. But Son, I think the crowd were getting at Son, and I think he just needed to maybe just to get him off. Didn't want to get him, because every time he touched the ball, they were booing him. And I know what Son as a person. He's so happy that I can imagine thinking, "What are these people booing me for?"
That's intelligent, isn't it? That's an intelligent substitution. Like, he actually wasn't playing well, and I actually don't mind seeing that. As well, like you said, Doherty wasn't awful when he came on. He wasn't good at all, but he wasn't terrible. He actually put a couple balls in the box. I think Simon Stevens, you'll come to the comment, it's quite recent. He said he can't really judge him on the subs. Neither really can I, to be honest. Maybe the only thing I'll rag him on is not bringing on Tanguy earlier, but I know Sid ain't going to be, happy that Gio's coming on. I ain't going to be happy that Dele's coming on. Nobody's going to be really happy that Bergwijn's coming on. Maybe Gil needs a bit of a chance as well. But he is right in what he says. You can't really judge him on the subs because we haven't really got the best subs in the world, have we?
This is the problem. You're not going to please everyone, are you, with them subs that we've got on the bench? And that's the problem. So, but at some point, I do want to see him bring Dele on and just see if it fits into this.
Do you think that Doherty was like an interview, almost audition kind of thing? Just let me see what you've got. Let me see what you're about. Do you think that maybe was the reason?
I think he's going to do that a lot now with a couple of these players. He's going to do that.
Every single player, if they give him an opportunity, have to make 100% effort. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're not, even if your levels have not been great, it doesn't cost you to make an effort. That's what I'm saying. So that should be a given. I don't expect Conte to put any player on there and the player comes and says, well, why am I starting here? I didn't start the game. I'm just coming on. If you see that attitude, they're gone. So he's almost saying to you, show me your attitude, not show me your abilities, show me your attitude, because that's the biggest thing for anybody. Because we can see that if your attitude's right, players like Dyer, players like Ben Davies have got themselves into this lineup on that basis. And that's the only reason, because we've all seen enough, their quality is not good enough. Now, whether we get players in January that's going to do that, whether we get players over the international break once Conte gets into them for the next couple of weeks, we might see a different team come out for the next game. But I still fully expect every single Spurs player to be saying, this is my opportunity. Harry Winks is involved in that. Dele Alli, I'll put in that same thing. Lo Celso, you can go through all them names. Effort should not be...
Good opportunity here is, this is comment I've just saw, is Skip has a game ban now because he's on 5 yellow cards. So we're going to have to see a change next game. And next game is what? Leeds? So
Leeds at home.
And in my opinion, you don't need to play. Well, I guess it would be justified playing 2 holding midfielders against Leeds, but you can catch Leeds on the counter. You don't really need to play 2 holding midfielders against Leeds because
I don't think you do.
They will leave gaps open. They will leave gaps open. So I think we'll start to see a change. Let's not forget as well, this is just a quick point. Conte didn't start with a 3 at the back for Chelsea. He actually started with a 4 at the back. Yeah. And then I think it was, I can't remember who it was he lost to. It might have been either us or somebody else.
I think it was us.
I think it was us. That's why I'm trying to say, I think it was us who beat him. It was either 3-0 or something like that. And from that game on, he went to a 3-5-2 and they went on a crazy win streak and won the league. So he'll be watching each sort of game on video playback and seeing what he can tweak. And let's not forget, it's only been 3, 4, 5 days since he's been in charge. We can't really expect him to really change Tottenham Hotspur Football Club completely in 5 days.
He's not going to do that.
There's a lot to sort out.
Let me ask Sid, because I put this in the group earlier. When I saw at some point we had a back 5 of Romero, Emerson, and then I was like, oh my God, we've got Dyer, we've got Ben Davies and Doherty all one side on that pitch. I was like, this is a recipe for disaster. But to be fair again, those 3 players did okay. Sid, what's your thoughts going forward in terms of that defensive lineup? Is there any opportunity that's going to be there for Tanganga? Is there going to be an opportunity for Rodon maybe to play in that defense? And if you was to rejig it, how would you rejig it?
Yeah, I was having this conversation before as well. I think, do you know what? I feel really sorry for Rodon because he's not getting a look in. He never got
not even in the squad today. But
will he? Do you think he will, Sid? Nah, that's the question. Do you think he will?
I think I put it on the group today, didn't I? And me and Mike I said he'll be gone in January, and I think Sean as well said the same. But Mike reckons he won't. But I reckon either January or in the summer, I think Rodon will be gone. Don't know where, but he'll end up going because he's not even getting a run out. He's not getting any minutes in the Europa. He's not getting any minutes whatsoever. He's not even getting on the bench, let alone the squad. So I think Rodon will leave. I think going forward in terms of defence, I hate to say it, but Davies seems to be doing a decent job when he's played.
Let's not jinx it, please.
No. I'm saying last 2 games he's done okay, and
I agree. I agree.
Naturally left-footed player playing in that left side of the defence. Tanganga, I think, will get an opportunity at some point. But what I want to see is, I think we've discussed this, I want to see Rodon in the middle with Tanganga on the right of him, and then whether Dyer or Davis, and see how
Romero?
No,
Romero in the middle. Romero in the middle.
Romero in the middle. I thought you said Rodon in the middle. You scared me there.
Obviously, Romero in the middle.
Okay.
And then I have maybe Davis or Tanganga on the right, and then Dyer or Davis. I want to see Tanganga because we've already said, haven't we, that we don't think he's a right back, or he won't play right back that much. So give him a shout in that 3 at the back. And in certain games, there's going to be like the big games where he gets too aggressive and he's prone to get a yellow card or even get sent off. But give him an opportunity. Left back. I know, Darius, you said that Region will come good. I think the jury's out on that one. I think that's going to go to Judge Jody.
What about Sessegnon? What about Sessegnon's return? Do you think he'll have a spot? Because he's an attacking. He's basically a left winger for Fulham. Do you think he could find a place in the team?
I think he's sponsored by a medical firm at the moment, isn't he?
Oh,
he's taking out all these
100% agree.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it yesterday.
He's sponsored by Holby City. 100%.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
100%.
And Casualty as well, BBC. Anyway, there was a picture of him, I think, on Thursday evening or Friday with a fan outside the ground. And I'm like, somebody took a picture with him and he's all smiling. And I'm like, nobody knows what's going on with you, mate. If And he's one of the players that I think is going to be seriously under pressure with Conte now, because Conte is not going to mess around. Because number one, if he's going to be on the bench, as in does a medical bench, then we need to get rid of him, and Conte needs to get a replacement that he can then rely on. So he's my main threat, actually, Sessegnon. As much as I want to see him get back to his best at when he was at Fulham, the potential's there, but it's just not going to happen. Honestly, I don't know. But January is going to be massive. We're going to have to get some defenders in. And I know Romero's there and Dyer and whoever, but we need to get some in, mate. We need to get...
Right. We do. We all, I think we know that we, again, there's no real... We can't attach anything to Conte in the next... Well, this game. Now he's got a couple of weeks. He might not have every single player available, but now he's certainly got time to bed himself in with the players that are there. Because a lot of these players aren't going to be on international duty. But probably quite a lot will be. Most of that first team will be that play today. But then he's still got an opportunity to work with some of these other players to get them to play, you know, at a sort of level, or maybe introduce them into games. Because I think that's what we're going to have to see. Because there's no point in having these players if they're not given a chance, even in a UECL game. I think we've got Leeds. Is it our next?
Leeds is the next Premier League.
Quick question.
And they are in terrible form.
Yeah. The international break, are we losing our South Americans as well? Are they going up that way? Or
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. I can double check that for you. I'll let you know later on, Sid.
Let's come around to both of you then for your final thoughts. Darius, we'll start with you. Final thoughts on the game today and what you're looking forward to in the future.
Not the greatest game at all, to be honest. It was pretty poor. I don't put that down to Conte. I do put that down to just a lack of quality in the final third. I do think that everybody in that attacking sort of front five, front three do need to be held responsible. I remember an Emerson header that he kind of ducked his head on and should have scored. I remember a Reguilon volley from Kane, ball in the box that should have been a goal. So let's not pretend that we shouldn't have, had opportunities and scored. I know it's 0 shots on target, but and let's also hit the post. So that's 3 opportunities I can think of already that should have been goals. And the XG I'm pretty sure the XG will suggest that we had better chances than Everton anyway. But I just think that, like I said, I'm very patient because this reminds me of Poch's first season, even though it's been 2 games. Poch showed to me, and I do remember this, that I was excited again. It was something that I could actually look forward to and say, yeah, this is what he's aiming for. And with better players and a better team, he can achieve things. And he didn't achieve things in terms of silverware, but you know what Poch did for us. So exactly. I'm here to give Conte time. I'm definitely here to give Conte time. He showed to me he's improved players like Ben Davies. He's improved even Dyer to an extent. He's improving Reguilon and Emerson. He's improving certain players. So that might literally just be down to the Conte factor of him being there, 100%.
which the players are going to make this effort, which is what you want. This is what I'm saying about these players. We haven't got a bad squad. It's a top 6 squad, 100% in my opinion. It's not a top 4 squad, although I think with the way that things are going at the moment with Man United, Arsenal, you can put West Ham in that sort of mix as well.
They're beating Liverpool at the moment, so
do you know what I'm saying? So they're all going to be in and around. And if you compare the squads, you would not say, "Oh, they're way above us," because West Ham certainly ain't. Arsenal certainly ain't. Man United, you could argue that they're probably the best of.
They've got one of the best squads in Europe, so that's why it's even more embarrassing for them.
Exactly. But they haven't got one of the best managers, which is the difference. So the next couple of weeks, then, Sid, what are you expecting to see when we come out the next performance against Leeds?
So we've got 13 days now between now and our next game.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 13 days. 13 days. So
boring.
It is. Now, we've got international breaks, and like what you said, Sam, not every one of them players is going to be playing for an international side. So Nuno, so you got the likes of Dele, Sessignon, Dyer, all them lot will be getting whatever training they're going to be getting at the lodge. So hopefully he'll be able to work with them. Kane, if we could just say to him, you know what, don't go play for England. Is it international break friendlies or is it the actual?
No, there's World Cup qualifiers. I think
World Cup qualifiers, right? Yeah. Because he needs to start scoring goals because Alisson now is on level. He scored the same amount of goals as Harry Kane, yeah? So, because he scored the own goal. So he's on 1, Kane's on 1. So if a goalkeeper scored 1 goal, Kane should be on at least 10. But I think Conte is just going to have to build with what he's got. Hopefully, these 13 days will try and get his tactics, get some of the fitness up on some of the boys, get his philosophy into these players. Obviously, there's nothing you can do with the ones that are going to be playing international games, but yeah, it's it's early days. Like Darius said, he's been there 5 days. He's trying to instill his theories, how he wants the game to be played, and judging by what we've seen of him on the touchline and stuff like that, I think the next 13 days for him is going to be massive, because he will get his mindset into some of these players. And I think next home game against Leeds, I think we're going to see hopefully a different Spurs with a bit more attacking emphasis.
I think you're right. I think what will happen over this international break, because if you look at the first team that played today, there's going to be quite a few of them that will be on international duty. Dyer probably not so, well, definitely not so, because he's not playing for England. I don't know if Reguilon made the Spain squad.
He didn't. So
no. There's a couple that did, 2 or 3 that maybe won't be going. The rest of them that are definitely not going to be going. I expect them to be pushed up a level to then put pressure on the ones that will be away. So when they all come back for that day before, couple of days before, whatever it is, Conte will know, right, I've seen enough of you to know I can play you in this formation and it will work. I've seen enough of you to know maybe not. And then he can maybe tweak things. Because at the moment, we've seen no tweaks from him. I want to see some tweaks. I want to see some tweaks in terms of the formation and personnel. But obviously, it's the in-game tactical stuff from him. I want to be able to see if he can bring some players on that are now going to say, right, I'm here for the long haul. I'm going to make sure that if it's even Ben Davies, I'll take back what I've said about him. If he can prove to me that he can play under the system and play well in it. Do you know what I'm saying? As a left back, I don't think so. But as a left-sided centre back.
Well, like you said, you've seen that he's been able to get forward. So, like you said, I think formations are it's very old formations now. Like you say, someone's a left back, but like you said, you can have a left centre back that can get in the box. I mean, Chris Wilder's centre backs were bombing into the box all the time when they were in their prime. So, I mean, all you have to do is find the best positions and best places for players to play in. And I hope Conte is going to realise that certain players might just not be good enough, and there are chances for some players. There definitely are chances for some players.
Yeah, and if Davies has been given a chance, then
I think he already knows. I think he would have known enough about some of the players and watched some of the games and probably seen now that he wants players in. Now he's always in all the press conferences. He's always said, "I need time, blah blah blah." So I know that he needs time. So let's see what he does over the next few weeks and obviously in the coming games that we've got. So if you're watching, please hit that like button. Thank you very much for staying with us throughout the show. Hit the like button, share as well with your comments. We have got coming up tomorrow Judge Jody at 8 o'clock with a special guest on there. We will also have during the week talking points, which will be on Tuesday, because we've got a long break now for the international. So we'll have a topic on there that we can discuss on Tuesday. Looking forward to Sid Says or Ask Sid at this moment. Sid Says will be coming back at some point for the
transfer window.
So we've got that to look forward to. But Paxton Road TV, thank you very much. It's been a great last few days. We're all still on a high, and we're going to remain on that high because we're unbeaten under Conte.
And we didn't concede. We didn't concede in the league today. That was also somebody.
And we drew a game as well.
And the first draw of the season as well. So
it's all positive. It's all positive, gentlemen.
It's all positive.
No, seriously, though, we've got to give the man time. I'm not. It's not even a question. It's just like, okay, we've seen that. We came away. There would have been opportunities. Opportunity. There would have been times in that game where you'd have thinking with the players that we had on, oh, this is not going to work out. And had it been under the previous management, maybe that game might not have ended in the way it did today. But let's breathe. Okay, let's go and watch this West Ham Liverpool game. Darius, Sid, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll see you again soon.